way!
Couldn't wait to get involved because it, it just feels like something completely different.
We're doing it, guys! Look out!
The element where SpongeBob and his friends come up into our world is much more of a big deal in this movie than it was in the last one.
Let's save Bikini Bottom.
There's a little part, I think, in everyone that wishes they were a superhero.
You can call me the rodent!
He's a little bit crazy. He's a little bit nuts. And he's filled with imagination.
The idea that SpongeBob and Plankton have to team up is something that we haven't seen before.
When we made the first movie, it was simply a 2D animated movie. It was sort of a bigger story from what we'd been doing on the TV show with a little bit of live action, and then it became clear once we got started in this that it was going to be a much larger movie.
You know what this means, Mr. Squidward.
We get the rest of the day off?
No.
Things really started rolling when Steve and Paul Tibbett hatched a story that they felt is feature-worthy.
Come closer while I tell you the tale.
Don't that close! Go!
We came up with this idea that the narrator would steal the formula to the Krabby Patty.
Alas, it is mine.
Burger Beard steals the Krabby Patty formula, which he knows is so tasty that some captains have actually sunk their ships to get a taste of the Krabby Patty.
After 14 years, we lost the formula!
It will be a complete breakdown of social order.
Aren't you overreacting a bit?
I hope you like leather.
We said, let's try to bring as much new stuff to everything. Showing Bikini Bottom in a post-apocalyptic setting, that was all new.
For some reason, everybody's got mohawks and wearing leather bondage gear, because that's what happens when the world goes to seed.
For a huge part of the movie, we're exploring a Bikini Bottom that we've never seen before, which allowed us to come up with hundreds of new designs to treat the backgrounds differently than we normally do on the TV series.
Complete chaos here today as our town attempts to deal with a sudden and complete shortage of Krabby Patties.
It makes sense that this particular movie would be centered around food, because you take away the one thing that makes SpongeBob's life bearable, your adventure begins.
We decided that SpongeBob and his friends would have to save the town.
Come on, guys! I think it's just over this hill!
The surface. We won't be able to breathe.
I can get you safely to the surface.
There's a course. There's a dolphin in between the layers of time that is watching over humanity, making sure planets don't bash into each other. That's sort of a typical day in the SpongeBob universe.
Get in my mouth!
This is the better of the talking dolphin movies. This is the best one. Best talking dolphin movie ever.
Note to self, never stow away in a gym sock.
We are doing 2D animation.
I feel tingly.
But when the characters come to the surface, they're converted into CG.
What is this place? Uh-oh.
Out away from your normal home, everything gets weird, and it definitely gets weird.
Feels so good.
The live action's definitely more complicated because you have to integrate the characters into that space.
We love traditional animation, but once we started seeing it in 3D, we realized, oh wow, this actually can look great.
We spent a lot of time really focusing on nuance and acting and animation to make sure in the CG world, they look and feel the same way that they do in the animated world.
Let's get the Krabby Patty formula and save Bikini Bottom.
That was a challenge, just making sure that we were creating a photoreal SpongeBob that didn't upset people who knew SpongeBob in the 2D world.
We're definitely old school, where we've been doing 2D for a long time, and it really wasn't until like the last 5 years that CG has become able to do what cartoons used to do. I really didn't expect to like it. I thought, CG, they're never gonna translate that well, but they've done an amazing job of translating even our style of animation into the CG.
Anytime we get a chance to do something bigger that's different than the show, absolutely awesome every time.
Cotton candy.
If you ate all that, you'd have enough energy to run around the whole world.
sugar gonna wear off?
When they leave the water, it's like they're going to Oz. Everything is different.
I'm gonna write us an ending.
Will it be a happy ending?
It's gonna be super powered.
End up at the food truck where they discover that this guy has stolen the Krabby Patty formula.
Patrick?
We get to see the characters in superhero personas that are brand new for this film.
If you like superheroes and food trucks, and I know we all do, you're gonna like this movie.
Yeah, it was kind of an evolution. I mean, we started out with this idea that they would just have kind of fighting skills and they would work together and, you know, it would be more of a kung fu thing.
There were a ton of ideas across the board that we started playing with, and then we settled on something that was pretty great.
We started thinking, wait a minute, you know, let's try to go more along the lines of Iron Man and all those guys.
We tried to capture some internal thing from each character. Squidward plays the clarinet.
His superpower is that when he plays his clarinet, it debilitates whoever is the target, just like it does in real life.
Mr. Krabs is kind of like a robot.
Mr. Krabs could take on the Iron Man.
Sandy becomes a real squirrel, which scares all of them.
What?
SpongeBob shows off his ability to blow these giant bubbles that can lift things in the air.
Patrick summons ice creams.
And what a perfect superpower for Patrick.
Seeing these more mundane characteristics turned into these superhero powers is a ton of fun.
It's fun to see them all out of their element and experiencing new crazy things and the epic nature of a feature film.
Prepare to be teamworked.
It definitely raises the bar on the movie.
It's not only just a movie for kids, it implies a tremendous amount of surrealism and something that is very out of the box.
I love the absurd nature of it, you know, that just anything can happen.
We tried from frame one on to say, let's not do anything that we've ever done before, and I think we succeeded.
We did it.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Jimmy.
Jimmy who?
Jimmy, back my formula, Plankton!
Oh, I get it.
I'm Tom Kenny.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Move on to that one? I was that oddball kid who would watch cartoons and see the names of the people that did it. That really spoke to me for some reason.
You've been foiled again!
I guess this means the secret formula is
Lost forever. No, it's safe forever. Sorry.
Excuse me, I don't
It's
like
terrible.
Well, I don't want. I mean, terrible is a strong word.
Okay. Awful? About 3% there?
Yeah,
4% there?
2.5%.
2.5% there? Not bad. 98% to
I mean,
go.
it's close.
Okay. This is so incredibly awkward. I never fantasized about being, you know, Charlton Heston or some guy like that.
No, never!
You know what I mean? Like, I always fantasized about, wow, the guy that does Yogi Bear, that guy's got a great job.
You've been foiled again!
I guess this means the secret formula is safe forever. Right, Mr. Krabs?
Yes.
You know, I wish I could draw well enough to be an animator. As a kid, that was another fantasy I had, but didn't happen. But maybe I can be a goofball voice guy and sneak my way through that back door. So that's what happened.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Your order, sir!
I'll have 2 Krabby Patties, extra ketchup, extra mustard, and hold the mayo. Howdy. I'm Carolyn Lawrence, and I play Sandy Cheeks. Or I'm Carolyn Lawrence, and I play Sandy Cheeks. Or I'm Carolyn Lawrence, and I play Sandy Cheeks. Yeehaw!
Playing somebody who's just normal and sweet, that's not fun. You want to play somebody who's crazy.
Sandy? Is that you?
You can call me the... Oh, sorry, I didn't know we were going.
I'm very good at bloopers, I just want you all to know. No idea. No, never in a million years. Like, if you would ask me as a kid if I thought that I'd be working in animation or voicing, I didn't even have a reference point. I didn't grow up around anything where I would think that was a possibility. Just wasn't on my radar at all.
Okay, let's try it again, only better.
I'll have 2 Krabby Patties. Is that better? Starting off good? No?
Extra ketchup, extra mustard.
Hold the mayo! I play Patrick. My name is Bill Fagerbacke. Hi.
SpongeBob, you would not believe the size of the ice creams here! Oh.
My goal has always just been to make a living in this ridiculous business and do different things. But then to have this happen, I mean, it's just been extraordinary. And it all started with Steven Hillenburg and what he created and being fortunate enough to have whatever it was he was looking for.
Good morning, Squidward. I'll have the usual. With cheese.
We're out of Krabby Patties right now.
Oh, Krabby Patties? Oh!
So join me and help me get the formula back, and I'll give each and every one of you a free Krabby Patty! Wait, no, wait. Even better, a slight discount. Whew, that was close.
I'm Clancy Brown. I play Mr. Krabs, who catered this film.
Still haven't been paid for it.
I wanted to do it for practical reasons because my daughter was young and I wanted to stay at home, and so I wanted to do voice acting.
Ah! Where's me formula, Plankton?
But I've always loved cartoons.
Don't worry, little. Formula?
There may be some punctuation mistakes on your script. Let me get you another one.
And then this thing came along and it was, I mean, it literally was lucky.
Not so fast, Buggerbeard! I'm saying that to Antonio. It's my scene with Antonio Banderas. I call him Boogerbeard.
Are you out of your patty flippin' mind? I'll never leave this place. I mean, look at me. I'm a god.
Hi, I'm Roger Bumpus.
And I play Squidward Tentacles in SpongeBob SquarePants. I love the role. Hate the guy next to me. I work in the food service sector. Underpaid, underappreciated, underwater. Mr. Krabs, SpongeBob, zip it! I can't do it any better.
It wasn't like I always wanted to be a voice actor. I wanted to be an actor, which I am. It always kills me that people say, oh, you do voice work. You ever get a chance to do any acting? You just want to grab them by the ears and go, you know.
The customers are getting restless. They're asking for
refunds.
It's exciting, right? Yeah. This is acting with a handicap. You know, this is not acting with your hand tied behind your back. It's acting with both hands tied behind your back, both legs tied behind your back, and a sack over your head. Because you don't have makeup, gestures, costumes, or anything. It's all right there, you know, and there, you know. So it's pretty tough stuff.
How about that? What do we do now?
Now we work together. You know, teamwork.
What's a TM work?
No, Plankton, teamwork.
TM work.
Teamwork.
TM work.
Say team.
Team.
Now say work.
Work.
Put them together, what do you got?
Time bomb. Work.
My name is Mr. Lawrence.
And I play Plankton.
Knock, knock.
Knock, knock jokes. I could do this all day, Krabs.
You have to have a really good sense of imagination. You have to have a really good visual sense of how things are gonna look, because you're making it up. I mean, when you're standing there in front of the mic, you know, you have to pretend that's happening. That's the funnest part. I sweat when I'm doing these performances. And it's because I'm actually putting myself in that peril. I'm actually trying to believe that I'm gonna get hurt any second now, or that I'm very sad, or that I'm extremely happy.
In your face! Oh yeah!
One more? The better your performance is, the better everybody else's performance as an artist is gonna be for the final product.
With that formula, I could rule the world! Not too loud.
When I do Plankton, it doesn't just come out of me naturally. I have to squeeze my larynx a certain way and make this air pocket. which is over here. But
it's a thing that I have to be able to do to make it actually make that sound. You see?
To get into SpongeBob, I find that, gosh, this is something I don't often talk about, but a little light opera, housing,
I warm up beforehand doing vocal pratfalls. I go.
I do warm up in the car when I'm on my way, and that will remain utterly private, my friend.
Me. I do my scales.
I get it out, and I feel so much better.
No, okay. I can do a little Patrick warm up here that will be horrific to view.
Wah, SpongeBob!
Then that gets you up into SpongeBob.
How's that? That's a little flavor.
We did it!
Whoa! What?
What's most gratifying is that there's always more things that are gratifying.
I can walk up to kids and go, "Did you take my chocolate?" And they laugh. It's so great. I love that so much, you know?
To quote Star Trek, it is my first best destiny to be Squidward.
She's in my soul, that Sandy. After all this time, she feels like she's her own person. Now I sound insane.
I mean, to be attacked by Tom Kenny and Clancy Brown
Here comes the pain.
is the best job in the world.
I always say, I don't want to be George Clooney or Tom Cruise or any of those guys, you know?
Let's get the Krabby Patty formula and say Bikini Bottom.
I've got a better gig than them. Watch, you're gonna love this one.
Okay.
Can I call my own action?
Sure.
Don't say action. No!
Sorry.
You can say and I'll say action.
Okay, and...
Action! Look at Mr. Krabs go! I've never seen him gloat this hard before. Yeah!
We did it, Tom!
That's how you do it.
The story of how Bikini Bottom was brought to his knees when his beloved Krabby Patty formula was stolen by me, Burger Beard.
My name is Antonio Banderas, and in this movie I am the pirate.
Yeah! Voila! Who wants some hot wings?
Antonio is a brilliant and charismatic actor. He has the ability to disappear into any kind of role.
He's a really macho, handsome leading man, and seeing that transformation into this grungy, crazy pirate was really a lot of fun.
Well, the process started when I got a call from Nan, our producer, asking me to design this 18th century pirate. And then this is what we came up with. The first time I met Antonio, he came to our tailor shop in Los Angeles. And when they start putting these elements together with the boots and the vest and all this stuff, he immediately sort of came to life.
He was actually hilarious because he had it on and he was dancing around and looked a little bit like a gnome of some sorts, and the hair was flying, and that's when we kind of met the pirate.
If you have come to hear a ripping yarn of an epic tale, you have come to the right place.
Antonio comes in the morning and we sit him down, and it's about an hour and 15 between Janine and I to do all the makeup. And so two of us are doing the beard and Janine's working on the hair. He starts seeing himself and getting into his pirate character.
I arrived being Antonio Banderas, and as much as they start putting things on me, the wig, the beard, the costumes, everything, you know, your whole entire body becomes something different. You start moving different. And consequentially, your voice also changes. And you go from talking like I am talking now to start just going like this. So the way that he looks helped me enormously just to create a voice for him.
Is the apron on okay?
Yes, you're all good to go. So this is the Burger Beard insignia for his Krabby Patty. We made a couple of different versions, and this is the one that we ended up with. And it looks fantastic. I mean, this tied around his head and this, but he keeps his pirate pants on with that. You know, we wanted to keep the pirate aspect in there.
This would be Antonio Banderas' lovely pirate wig. It's actually naturally curly like this. And then we added these silly straggly little braids down here to just make him look a little more rough and rugged. And it drives him absolutely crazy because the hair goes like this and sticks in his sweat on his face.
I simply rewrote the story and poof. That's a good one, I like it.
He's got a mustache, the lip piece. These are the sides. This is the chin. They come to us raw like this, permed, and then we wash them and condition them each night. Dye the lace so that it matches his skin tone, and then dress it with these irons. I just started to dress this piece here, so in the end it'll be big curls. On a real beard you'd make it very bushy, but we made a choice with Antonio to do screwy ringlets that kind of move when he talks.
The whole entire hair situation that I have in the movie was like a raccoon attacked me in the morning and stayed there for the rest of the day, you know, for 10 to 12 hours with the thing on, which actually at the same time limits you a little bit in movements. If I laugh too hard, the mustache does bling. I lose my mustache if I do patty, that thing, I feel the whole thing does like cracking.
And then we've got these fun little eyebrows that he loves because he can really make one go up or one go down when he looks into the camera, and he says it's helped him a lot with the expression.
I can't have you pooping all over my restaurant, can I?
I'm actually having a really easy time on this show because he has a scarf that comes down over his forehead that we wrap around his head. So we're not having to use any glue and torture him in any way here. We're just having to adhere it and clip some clips in his head and pin it on, and it stays, and it hasn't been bad. The biggest problem is it's really heavy. And so if it's not clipped on properly, it'll just slide right off the back of his head.
The wig weighed so much that at the end of the first 2 days, I had this pain on my neck and I didn't know what it was coming from. And it was coming from just bearing this thing and pushing ahead with my head the whole entire day. So this thing surpassed completely the whole entire experience that I had with any other character in my life in terms of physicality. It looks very good. It's very uncomfortable. Don't try at home. It's dangerous.
There's only one thing worse than talking birds, and that would be singing birds.
It's hard to hold yourself on screen opposite SpongeBob, but Antonio reveled in all of the details of Burger Beard, and he just created a character that we haven't seen before and I think is worthy of the SpongeBob world and universe.
I really wasn't expecting him to bring the kind of physical comedy that he does. It was really just a treat to see how far he could push it.
I am happy because if you wouldn't know me, you see that character, you will never recognize me on the streets. We actors, we all, I think, we love that possibility of being absolutely somebody else.
The end!
We'll take one secret formula to go. Clear the area, citizens. There's going to be some serious aft kicking here.
The formula is in the hands of the pirate, so they're trying just to capture the formula, just bring it back to them.
But I banished you.
And there is this huge chase.
Hey, where'd the pirate go? Follow that grease, team!
The chase scene, like all of the live action stuff, I mean, our main goal was we want this to feel like the cartoon, but look like something different.
So it's a very complicated sequence to choreograph and to have our pirate character, Burger Beard, driving down the street in this massive food truck. There's CG enhancement to that with the sails and the mast of the ship. But then on top of that, our CG cast of characters is following the ship as well. So a whole host of elements have to go into planning that to make it work.
Sandy, use your squirrel powers!
Roger that!
So I'd say, yeah, it's incredibly challenging and complex.
We first had someone from the world of animation do a storyboard and sort of map out the whole scene, how it was going to play out. Then we handed over to the previs guys. They basically built it using really lo-fi computer so that we could see it moving in real time, and we scratched out the dialogue and, you know, put in sound effects. And sort of made it as if it were the final scene, and then they took that down to Georgia and went shot by shot and kind of recreated each shot, and a lot of it was just pointing the camera at an empty part of the street and, you know, moving it really fast. That previs is a really helpful tool for shooting those kind of elaborate scenes that combine elements like that, like special effects and live action.
The beautiful bar behind is very interesting.
When we were there, of course, there were no cameras, there were nothing. So I was talking with things that didn't exist. You know, SpongeBob is going to be here and Patrick is going to be over there, so...
Why don't you get going, little fella, before you hurt yourself?
And luckily, he wasn't actually having to drive from up there. We had a little man down inside the place, but he wasn't even seeing the road. He was driving through a camera, swerving around the streets of Savannah in a Spanish galleon with full regalia. That's amazing.
That thing was what it was, you know, a vehicle created for the movie that goes actually at 35, 40 miles an hour, and we have to be attached with cables to everywhere in that thing, because if you fall out of there, you know, you would have taken a big hit.
3, 2, 1, go!
We had to shut down the biggest streets, main streets in Savannah in order to shoot these sequences, and one of the biggest challenges was it was just a short few blocks, so we had to make it seem like it was going on and on forever. So it was very tricky where the camera was placed and trying to make it feel like we weren't sort of going around and around in the same area.
Everyone, lean!
It's nuts the first time that I saw even the animatic, to find that chase scene. And especially I picture in my mind Mr. Krabs just blasting off down the street, and especially Sandy, the way that she looks on the surface.
Aw, nuts! I'm all out of nuts!
So I was very, very happy the first time that I saw what we were doing, because it's like, oh, good. As soon as the audience is maybe getting used to one thing, we're giving them more and more and more.
I'm gonna scrub my armpits with you.
I don't get it.
Because you're a sponge.
Oh.
The imagination of the scriptwriters and whoever created this is enormous, and anything is possible. In terms of colors too, I think is fabulous.
Justice is best soft served.
No, we never take a look as what we can or can't do. We just go, what would we like to do? And we may get to a point where someone says you can't do that, but until they say we can't do that, we're gonna try and do that.
We just sort of, we're trying to take what we've learned from the Avengers and those kind of movies and kind of make a funny version of it. And I think the end scene, the climax of the movie is pretty funny and exciting.
I was amazed by everything, you know, that they put in that chasing scene. It's almost like a festival of characters and imagination and color. It's very spectacular.
A formula, please.
My name is Giancarlo Brecht. I'm a fashion designer. I design by trade and by passion. We're in Echo Park, California. You know, I've called this home for more than 15 years now, and there's a reason why it is considered to be one of the hippest neighborhoods on the planet. It's where the high fashion hit the streets, left a little crater called hipsterism. Did you know? The clean, the pure lines of the runway, they transformed into the mustachioed, hatted silhouette of the East Side. It's really where the uncool became cool, so that's why I'm here. Square was always used to describe what was out. That's square, he's square, she's square. They're square. That's square. It's out. So then I thought, Giancarlo, what if out is in? Okay, now, if out is in, then in can only be square. We can maybe this go with the square, so your pose is a square as well. So we're doing very square. Yeah, linear. It's all about lines. Be the square. Yeah, that's fantastic.
What was it that compelled you to design the square silhouette?
One word: stability and infinity. You see, a square is infinitely stable. Look at this. There's 9 points, 6 sides on a square. So, 1, 2, 3. Did I start there? There's many points on a square. A square is really the keystone to all good design. Look closely. You go to any of those old cathedrals in Europe, you're gonna find yourself some squares in there.
There's a versatility thing and a practicality thing about them that just works.
They're a built-in cup holder, which I love.
Oh yeah, unbelievable.
I mean,
you know, you've had bell bottoms, you had skinny jeans. There's always an evolution of styles. This is without a doubt the next, and this is the one I think is going to stick around the longest. This is something I did not have in my closet, and it's in there now. I had to get rid of a lot of stuff to fit them into my closet.
Where does inspiration come from? Some say it's 50% perspiration. Some say it's all perspiration. It's so hard to explain just in a couple words, but I just like to keep my eyes open at all times.
Je suis une éponge. Et voici mon monde. Ça, c'est mon chien. C'est mon ami. Je rêve de mon enfance sous la mer. Ma vie sur Terre est sans couleur. Il est vrai que j'absorbe la vie. Mais je me sens destiné à retenir un peu de sa beauté. Le bus, toujours le même trajet. Les mêmes visages. Le même flou dans ma vie. Dois-je succomber à la tyrannie de la routine? Non. Je m'autorise à rêver.
one special woman has dedicated her life to saving the ocean. Dr. Sylvia Earle. She is an oceanographer and an explorer, and she is often called her deepness, since she has dived deeper and spent more time underwater than any other woman.
Well, hello there. I am so excited to be back in my deep worker submarine. Welcome aboard. I'm on my way to Bikini Bottom to check on the health of the sea life, especially something extremely valuable called plankton. Plankton are tiny plants and animals that drift along in the ocean. Many marine animals, like sponges, sea stars, crabs, snails, and even squid, reproduce by creating babies that drift in the currents until they're large enough to settle down on the seafloor. Plankton is essential because some of these babies become adults and others become food for other creatures. Plankton is essential for the health and vitality of the ocean. In my opinion, plankton rules the world.
And I will rule the world! All hail plankton! All hail plankton!
As we move through the water, we can see plankton right outside our window. Well, what do you know? Some of these plankton are copepods. Copepods are tiny animals, or zooplankton, which stay small and drift for their whole lives. They have antennae, swimming legs, a big gut, and a ginormous goofy eyeball, or eye spot. They're hungry, bottomless pits that munch on tiny plant greens, such as diatoms. Plant plankton is called phytoplankton. Phytoplankton use sunlight and carbon dioxide gas to make food, and afterwards, they release oxygen into the ocean. Scientists believe phytoplankton create at least half of the oxygen on our planet. Oxygen that we all need to breathe. Phytoplankton is also food for sea life, such as sponges that filter feed plankton from the water. Plankton is also food for big species, such as whale sharks. The biggest fish in the sea eats one of the smallest life forms. Oh, look there. It's a planktonic sea snail called a pteropod. Pteropods are important because they're a primary food source for whales and other large ocean animals. Unfortunately, pteropods and other plankton species that build shells are in real trouble because of a serious problem called ocean acidification. Our fossil fuel burning cars, power plants, and other machines emit carbon dioxide gas, which is absorbed by the ocean. Too much carbon dioxide makes the ocean more acidic, which makes it harder for animals to create their shells. Planktonic sea snails normally have smooth, strong, protective shells, but now they're forming weak shells with pits and holes. This is also happening to other animals with shells, and corals, too. If too many pteropods die, then whales and other sea life may not have enough to eat, and ocean health will decline. So, we need to change the way we live. We need to drive electric and hybrid cars and use clean energy, like solar and wind power, to reduce carbon dioxide levels. We need teamwork. When we take these actions, we will save plankton and the food web, and in turn, save ourselves. Let's help the ocean support all types of healthy plankton. Healthy plankton rules the world. Protecting the ocean is my life's mission, and I hope you'll make it your mission too. We need more people to love the ocean. Now, let's say we have some fun and follow those whale sharks. You keep a secret? It's totally bikini bottom confidential. I'm a big fan of SpongeBob SquarePants. For some strange reason, I'm very attracted to Patrick Star. He's a rock star of the sea. I know some other amazing rock stars of the sea I'd like to introduce you to. They have some of the best jobs in the world. So come on, let's meet them, and let me show you why they rock.
I'm Liz Taylor, and here at DOER, we build submersibles and remotely operated vehicles, robots, to go deep in the sea and to take people deep into the sea, to explore areas where we're not able to go just holding our breath or with scuba tanks. One of the ways that we pushed that envelope was working with the deep worker submersibles, little one-person subs, and you're basically just gliding through the water, you're observing the fish, the animals are coming over to you, they're curious, and it's just so liberating. We're problem solvers, so we have to think out how to go deeper, how to pick up things remotely. And it's always a challenge to take the raw ideas, to test it over and over again, and eventually we come up with something that works time and time again. So this field of ocean exploration and robotics and submersibles is in absolute need of kids to come up into this field and to apply their gaming skills to driving the ROV, to apply their great computer skills to dealing with all the data that scientists are able to bring up. It's almost endless, the career possibilities that are out there in the oceans.
What I do for a living is to train already certified divers to be scientific divers, which means that they're going to be gathering data underwater using scuba. Now, the full face mask is one tool that may be useful when you do need to communicate with the surface while you're underwater.
And now, can you hear me talk? Yeah. Okay.
And the other skill that we're going to work on is using a lift bag. The lift bag is kind of an underwater elevator in that it gives us the ability to pick up heavy objects. The other task that we're going to do is we're going to use underwater scooters, diver propulsion vehicles. You can use them to travel long distances underwater. The sampling gear that we use to go gather the data, the most important piece is probably our meter tape, because that's what we use as our baseline to gather our data. And then off the meter tape, we'll use quadrats, which are just squares that we lay down periodically along the tape. And then sometimes we need to size objects that we find within that quadrat, and so then we'll use calipers. One of the more rewarding parts of my job is to be able to see these students go from the beginning right on through until they graduate, and they may be scientific divers or dive masters or even scuba instructors. And it's available to anybody that has an interest to do it. I have to say my favorite dive location is diving in a kelp forest on a clear day. There's just nothing like it. If the water's clear and the sun is shining, you get the sunbeams coming through the kelp, and you have the rockfish that are up in the kelp canopy. You have a rocky reef, and it is just truly a magical moment when you come upon that. And unless you actually get in there and see that happening, I don't think you truly understand that there is an ecosystem that is thriving and needs to be protected just like we protect our terrestrial areas.
I have always wanted to be a marine biologist, so I literally have my dream job right now. I cannot think of anything else that I would rather be doing. My research is really focused on a process that's called ocean acidification. And ocean acidification is caused by the absorption of carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere into the ocean. And it's causing a series of really predictable changes in the chemistry of the ocean that threaten a lot of animals and plants, especially those that build their shells or skeletons out of hard calcium carbonate. So these are things like sea snails or corals. And my research is really focused on what does ocean acidification mean for those animals and plants, and then trying to actually work with big groups of people to develop solutions. What can we do about ocean acidification so we protect the oxygen that comes from the ocean and the food that people need and just that place that we love? The other piece of it is that I really want to contribute to society. I want to do something that matters, that helps the world, that helps the ocean. And so being a marine biologist, I get to be part of that. I get to be in the ocean all the time. I get to answer really interesting questions. And I get to actually contribute to society to help us have a better life. I have tons of hope for the next generation. Some of the environmental problems that we're facing, like ocean acidification, they're going to require really creative problem solving. And in my experience, it's some of the youngest people who have the freshest experience and the freshest perspective that can really contribute to these creative solutions that we're going to need to deal with some of these really large problems. So I'm absolutely hopeful.
I'm studying the mysterious malady of Patrick Star, which is called sea star wasting. A couple of years ago, we noticed that there were sea stars that were missing from some of the rocky intertidal habitats up along the coast of Washington and southern Alaska. There was a progression of the loss of stars and started wondering, what is it that's causing all these sea stars to disappear? Not only in Oregon and Washington, but all the way now down the coast of California and into Mexico. We think that this might be a virus that is causing this huge, large-scale loss of species. The first thing you notice when you come upon one of these poor little guys is that their arms will be contorted, and before you know it, all the arms have fallen off these little guys, and it has a huge influence on the communities that these sea stars live in, like the big multi-armed sunflower sea star that gets up and runs around and chases down those spiny little guys, the sea urchins. Those sea urchins, if they're not controlled, their numbers get so abundant that they'll actually feed and graze down an entire kelp forest into what we call sea urchin barrens, where they've removed all the kelp and all the species that live on that kelp. So sea stars play a really important role in controlling the number of sea urchins and maintaining the biodiversity in those kelp forest environments. You know, spending that time underwater and really studying these kelp forest ecosystems, that's really my favorite part of my job. That's what got me into being a marine ecologist. When young people are thinking about what to do with their lives, the only thing you will ever do really well at in life is that what you are passionate about. Because if you follow your passion, you will be a rock star. And if you're a rock star, you'll be happy. Anybody who's doing what they really like to do will do it really well, and whatever you do really well, you'll make a happy livelihood.
So go out there and become a rock star of the ocean.